What's up guys, Ash here. I think this video is going to go much longer than I thought it would because it's Troubleshooter and it's massive and it's ridiculous. So, we're going to hop right into it. What this video is, this is a comprehensive character build list of my team as of March 2023. Obviously this can get out of date, and I would like to do one of these seasonally, but we'll see, especially based on how long this video will take. Keep in mind, this is how I play. How you play might be completely different, and that's fine. And that's the joy of the customization of this game. Also keep in mind that I don't intentionally abuse 0 AT. I've mentioned this several times within the community, but if the enemy never gets a turn, what exactly are you playing against? I also like to say that 99% of the players we see use 0 AT rarely stick around long. Can't imagine why when you don't have an opponent. Also, on a funny side note, tell me how your 0 AT Irene does against Mungo King. Would just love to see. This list will also only be one class from each character. I'm still personally fleshing out many classes, even the ones that you see here. So, you know, it's not fully comprehensive. What this video isn't, this is not a feats video. Those are hand-tailored by me, and it's generally me showing the community what characters can potentially do, or something you would never normally see happen. It is incredibly rare that I share a feats video build. The only exception I've really made is Heixing SWP, which got overwhelming requests to be shared. You guys will officially see that build here, but I did post it in our Discord quite a while ago. SWP has also seen a resurgence in play because of how Ranger interacts with Mungos in the current content, which is 58 Violent. I'm positive that will change with the Red Sand Mercenaries soon, and we'll see a return to Ranger play, but for the current content, it is unbelievably good. So, I've created a roles list. This list defines what each character does in my party so that you have a better context and better reference. My main tanks are Sion and Alisa. Main tanks for me are the characters found with the main party, or in some cases 2 split main parties, depending on the map. Both of them are essentially unkillable. Sion with Battle Mage self-healing, and assuming I don't forget to reapply Rage on Alisa, she has never realistically died in team gameplay. Both tanks are completely immune to AT delay. Furious Lightning Gale from Sion and Frenzied Charge from Alisa. Both tanks have a way of dealing with debuffing. Sion runs Mutant and Alisa has Tenacious Barbarian. Both have very high health pools. Both have very high block and incredible damage reduction. They're always my front line, and if for some odd reason, let's say Alisa is not at the front, I will intentionally speed boost her to get her to the front, because when tanks tank, people live. My hybrid tanks are Albus and Irene. I know many players probably use Irene as a main tank, but the reality is Irene can suffer really badly from massive AT delay where Sion doesn't have to deal with it. Additionally, Sion can use bracelets for massive health pool gain where Irene can't. This is particularly important when you start comparing them defensively, where Battle Mage defenses usually revolve around Iron Heart and having a really high health pool. Albus's Great Swordsman also makes an excellent hybrid tank as well. For me, hybrid tanks are usually the front line for a flanked attack, but not necessarily with the main party. This also feeds really well into Irene's hero, where in the main party, getting her to trigger hero can sometimes be difficult, but off to the side it's much easier. Sitting alone in his own category, as it should be, Leton Superstar. If you never see my Superstar play, it's pretty insane. And for what it's worth, I do have an advanced superstar mechanics coming out in the near future that is planned for the superstar enthusiasts like me. Important to note that I switch between both a melee and an ice build, depending on the map. More on that later. In the assassin category, I have Misty and Bianca. What's interesting about them is they can take a target like Gyro that has 300% block and turn it into 0. This is probably obvious with Misty and hiding, but less so with Bianca, which does have a specialty in illusion with a lower cooldown and an increased amount of usage, which, if we're being honest, is probably the only thing that it has going over Black Mage. But it doesn't change the fact that if you pair Bianca's Witch up against targets like Hansen, Sanson, think Athod in a tower, you know, Hansen over 100 blocks, Sanson has incredible dodge and block from his natural passive. Athod dodge rating can get unbelievably dumb if he's in a tower behind, you know, like full cover and stuff. Bianca can take all of those defensive bonuses and turn it into 0, while also being able to kill them immediately thereafter. Assassins will usually be teamed up with my hybrid tanks for flanking, and kind of guarantee that wherever is being flanked is essentially being handled. For ranged DPS, these are the heavy hitters on my team and the highest damage dealers. Heixing in particular is by far the highest damage dealer in the game, at least on my team, probably in the game though. And Annihilation Shot can kill anything in the game on any difficulty. Ray is also incredible, and generally both characters stay with the main party. Assuming they're behind the tanks, they never really die, but each of them do have limited defenses in a pinch. More on that later. For support range DPS, obviously Giselle is a buffer for my team with 0 action point potions, so she can strength pot many characters. She can set an entire team's AT to 0. I usually open with that if you guys have ever seen my stream. She can freeze trap bosses, and she can fire trap groups. She can fear bomb them. She's incredibly versatile, and that's not to mention the massive amount of pets at her disposal. As long as you understand the situation, Giselle's unbelievably devastating. And it's one of the reasons why you'll usually find me on Hunter. It has versatility that you won't find on Sniper. That's not to say that Sniper isn't good, it's still a great chain killer. It's just that chain killers are everywhere, right? And so I prefer... One, I like a character that's flexible and versatile. But 2, there's already plenty of chain killers, right? So, whatever. Similar to Giselle, Kylie's Engineer supports with drones, and they have a myriad of uses like tanking in a pinch, like Capricorn, ranged DPS like Gemini, reviving characters, etc., etc. And that's nothing to say of Kylie herself. She can apply 4 stacks of armor break. I'm a big fan of Engineer, mostly because Hacker is just so stupid broken that it kind of feels like cheating, honestly, and yeah, we'll go into that some other time. Finally, the backbone of any team, and on White Mage, not much to be said. Important to not be forgotten. Additionally, I've created a shortened version of the major and minor changes of my characters. In the major changes list, Albus's Great Swordsman, Irene's Martial Artist, Heixing's Sweeper, Ray's Grenadier, Kylie's Engineer, Leton's Superstar, and Alisa's Barbarian. Major changes means that from my class spotlights into now, I feel like there have been massive changes that can come from either gearing, masteries, or a different play style completely, sometimes all 3 combined. For the minor changes list, Sion's Battle Mage, Inn's White Mage, Giselle's Hunter, Bianca's Witch. Minor changes means that I've probably expanded on the class spotlight to optimize them further, but at the core, they haven't really changed. And then finally, Misty's Ninja is pretty recent, and so there really hasn't been any changes done to her, as I'm happy with her current build, but we'll still touch on it later all the same. Okay, and now what you guys have been waiting for, let's get into it. We'll just go top to bottom, even though I feel like ending on Misty will be kind of like a dull roar. But yeah, let's start with it. So Albus is Great Swordsman. Why did I choose Great Swordsman? It has more survivability than Magic Knight. It's more consistent than Magic Knight. That's not to say Magic Knight isn't a great class, because it is, and we'll see a resurgence of Magic Knight when more humans return for Red Sand Mercenaries and the Tri-Star Serpents or whatever, and Dr. Pascal. We're going to see a lot more of that, so at the current moment, I think Great Swordsman is in a really good spot. So let's go ahead and go straight to the Mastery board. This is Bloodbath 4. Keep in mind, you know, this is kind of based on the current content. On initial thought, let's see, the major changes I would say is Sword of Sky. I'd never added this before because speed didn't do a whole lot for Albus. Normally my Albus was at 100 speed or so, and that was perfectly fine because his chain killing usually allows him to make up for being kind of essentially last in my party. Same thing with Bianca, you know. They have such high movement, they have such high chain killing ability that they don't really need that kind of speed. That's now changed, and I'll show you why. Speed, of course, feeds into Black Mask. This drops from, what is it, the new Mungo Black Mask, actually. And it's important to note that it has a flat crit chance. It compares your speed versus the target speed, and then if you're faster than them, decreases the block and dodge chance by 0.3 per 1 speed, or at 100 speed, 30% block shred and 30% dodge shred. That's really important on the dodge shred portion because of the current content with Mungos. Most of them average like 30 dodge or so, and so this conversion from Sword of Sky and this massive amount of speed, you know, keep in mind, this isn't taking into account acceleration if, you know, you want to put that on. This isn't taking into account food bonus, plus 15, etc., etc. So, the downside to this, I do believe that this is better than the 3-set Golden. The downside, of course, is that you can't forget the 2-set Golden gives you stun immunity, and I really don't want to put Veteran on Albus, nor did I have the bandwidth for it. So I did keep the 2-set Golden along with Black Mask. For Excitement Potion, Albus sits at about 70 crit chance. This kind of just, you know, solidifies it. But as a whole, you know, let's just say with the food bonus at 165 speed, most enemies have about 70 speed on average. So he's almost exactly 100, which is 30 block shred, 30 dodge shred, which is 15 more block shred than you would get with the 3-set Golden. As a whole, I just think it's better. It's certainly better on the Mungos because of the dodge shred. Still keeping Ben's suit for the health and block. You can see 25 block there, tons of health. Really helps. Albus does tend to have like lower health pool as a whole. And then probably surprising to a lot of players, I've completely switched over to the Blood Red Razor Claw Combat Sword. I know people are still huge fans of the Alligator Blade, right, because of human block shred. Maybe that will be slightly better when we get back to humans with Red Sand Mercenaries and whatnot, but personally I don't think I'll see myself switching. The passive has been fixed. It used to be reverse. The more health an enemy had, the more damage it dealt. Now it's as you increase more damage, you will deal more damage. Now, this has more synergy on Great Swordsman than Magic Knight, because on Great Swordsman, you're going to have the double slashing, blade storming, you know, all of that stuff, where that first hit lowers the health, and then that second hit, you know, really pounds them down. I do really love the sword. The base attack power is through the roof. If you were to compare, gosh, I never even +9 to any of the Alligator Blades. I actually used the Eluate for a really long time because of the block rating. But if you were to compare the attack power, I'd say it'd probably be at like 620 for the max. And these are big numbers for Albus. Albus doesn't have much attack power to begin with. You can see his base is 47, and then the Razor Claw is giving him 800. That's a massive boost. So as a whole, I really do love that. He's in a really good spot for me. You guys can see 85 block. Well, 85 block is not counting bullet slice, 3% block per distance tile. So for a ranged target, if they're 5 tiles, he's at 100 block. For a melee target, blade deflection, 100 block, right? And obviously, blade evasion. I'm big into blade evasion from Sword of Counterattack. I'm big into blade evasion from Sword of Protection. You're getting all these damage reduction modifiers that are just through the roof. I think what people will question on this board is probably Adventurer. Obviously, Adventurer on its own is not that great. For me, given my current board, it does just filter out to give me immediately bullet slice and combo attack. But more importantly, if you'll notice, my property limit, ability 9 out of 9, attack 15 out of 15, defense 13 out of 13, support 11 out of 11. It's tight, right? And so the only spot I have open here is basic. Now, could you I have Tough Spirit on because of the monkeys, and they do like fear bombing and they do contraction and all that stuff. It's really bad, but you could pull this for honesty, I guess, or you couldn't even pull flexibility. It's just too tight because Tough Spirit's only doing 1. It's just too tight all around. Anyway, Adventurer feeds really well, and so this version of Great Swordsman is feeding off of class masteries, right? So Sword of Heart on its own, block increase by 1% per Swordsman, Great Swordsman. Battle Jutsu, reducing cast delay by 3% per Swordsman, Great Swordsman. Sword Manual, increase critical damage by per Swordsman, Great Swordsman. So even though Adventurer may not seem like much, it is giving bullet slice and combo attack, and is feeding into all sorts of passive abilities built into Great Swordsman. So he has that, it's kind of close to 100 block. If you wanted to, kind of guarantee if you're more on the defensive side, go ahead and put a Powerful Patience Potion, and that will guarantee that he blocks combined with Blade Deflection and or Bullet Slice, depending on what it is. Sion, minor changes here. My main tank, also pretty powerful, even being main tank, because it's Battle Mage. Battle Mage is pretty dumb. Changes, I think, would be Nerve Stimulus. I like Nerve Stimulus. It gives him bonus speed. Keep in mind, you cannot tank if you're not at the front. So, yeah, speed is freaking important. And, of course, Battle Mages, once they get going with CMP, are incredibly fast. But even then, I still want them to be very fast. So, he's got Goldwing Charm. He's at 140. Acceleration will put him at 170, right? And then, CMP takes over, and yeah, he's going to be at the front. We've even got Best Condition on there. Keep in mind that even though normally tanks don't do well with Best Condition, Battle Mages can heal themselves to full very, very easily with... is it... Magic Restructuring? No, not Magic Restructuring. Conversion. Sorry. It's been a while since I've actually had to look at Battle Mage stuff. I also, again, really still like Breakthrough on Sion, and that's because it feeds into Lightning's passive. You will get bonus Lightning SP per critical strike, and so naturally it fits. You're not supposed to one-shot, one-kill with Battle Mage, or else you'll burn through CMP too quickly. It's still really good. It's still great damage multiplier. I would say I also recently changed this. Impulse Fields will protect you from luck crits. I would say normally you would not have to deal with this, but let's say with Mungo King, if he luck hits the main tank, and I mean he's the main tank, he's supposed to survive everything, he will survive with this. And then next turn, Mungo King will be obviously melee distance, and you can just heal yourself with Sion. So again, Veteran, immunity to stun, mutant, debuffing, and then of course Sion has Furious Lightning Gale, immunity to AT delay. Keep this up at all times where possible. You know, and this is usually where the main fight starts. 100 block. So many things that you just can't go wrong here. Again, major difference between Irene Battle Mage. Irene cannot use bracelets. And so that's a bonus 1,000 health. 3,200 health, not counting Giant Potion, also very important. This is going to give you increased aggro as a whole. This is mandatory for tanks, in my opinion. But again, that 3,200 hip is feeding into Iron Heart, and this is just something Irene can't take advantage of. Again, Nerve Stimulus, bonus health. Again, something Irene can't take advantage of. It's a lot of little things that when you look at the big picture, you can see Sion is a way better tank than Irene would be. So, yeah, he's pretty indestructible, and that's how I like Sion. Also, really quick, even though I really like the changes to Lightning Storm, for him as a main tank, I like Annihilation Kick. Any boss that is normally unkillable or very tough, Schwartz, Ben, Mungo King, whatever, they come up, they hit the main target, next turn, Sion gets up, Annihilation Kick. Very simple. It is the boss killer, and this does feed into Nerve Stimulus better. You are going to get bonus SP from Electric Pulse. You are going to get bonus SP from Nerve Stimulus. You are going to get bonus SP from having Breakthrough. All of this feeds into essentially getting to Annihilation Kick the major bosses, and it just has really good synergy. Alright. Irene! I think this will be very interesting. So major changes to her. I don't think anyone's seen anything other than my Endeavor build, where I've got fire rotating. This is my Iron Fist build, even though Irene kicks most of the time. This is my Iron Fist build, and this is kind of your traditional version of Martial Artist, except for it's been expanded on for me. Now keep in mind her role in my party. She's a hybrid tank, which means she's off to the side, which means she is triggering hero. Now what's neat about this is that on a block level, I have completely removed Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is normally her quintessential block, right? However, now that she's flanking and off to the side, she will be taking advantage of the only one left, which is bonus 25 when there's no allies within a radius of 6 tiles, right? So she's only got 57. That's going to push her to 82. And then, of course, Hero itself is actually going to give 15, which is going to push her to 97 flat block, right? This, of course, does not take into account, gosh, wrestling, right? So, what was that, 112 on melee. With martial art, it's 132 on melee. And so, I just felt that Gatekeeper was too far, and there's more I could do away from Gatekeeper. And so I fed into a lot of her martial artist stuff. I fed into the kind of solitary and wandering brawler side of things, right? And it's just made this monster of a fighter. And I think I've shown it maybe once in one of the feats videos, but she's a total monster. It's scary to watch her fight. Her block shred now, so she is getting, you might be confused at my gearing here. So again, Black Mask, similar to Albus, we are focusing on speed. Darkstalker Sneakers, gain acceleration. I don't remember if Hero gives speed. Hero does give speed. So add in food, that's 15. Add in Hero, that's 15, so it's 30. That's 148. Add in acceleration, that's 30. That's 178. And so generally she has 100 speed over her target. Average speed for an enemy is about 70, 75 or so. And that will be 30 block shred, 30 dodge shred. Now, what's probably neat here is why am I not using like the new battle gloves from Mungo King or Whitebeard 3-set, giving her additional block shred, right? So that's 45. That's not counting Fight King. Now, I'm running a lot of class masteries here, probably somewhere in the realm of 20 to 25. So she's got somewhere in the realm of like 65 to 75 block shred. This is unbelievably nasty. She still has her 100 block. She can still obviously tank in a pinch, right? She has unbelievable critical damage from practical, offensive, practical martial arts, and of course martial arts manual. This is such a nasty build, and I think players will really enjoy playing this. You know, like, this is such a massive change. She has a massive health pool, and honestly, if you fight her in melee, she's just as tough as fighting Alisa Barbarian, and that's very scary. Close combatant, reduced damage by 30%. Obviously, everything with wrestling, standing alone, damage reduction, and damage increase from class masteries. Solitary fighter, damage decreased by 20%. Anyway, it's all throughout this board. It's really nasty. She doesn't need Catharsis because she is running with full heart and full strength. She does do armor break. She can counter. It's just, it's really dumb. It's really dumb, and I think of all the builds, you guys will probably like this one the best, to be honest. And so not too many changes for Anne's White Mage. This is very close to the original Luminary. I accidentally had like a what the hell did I have? I had like lingering infection on there to support her earth, but it just wasn't meant to be there. So I intend on doing a White Mage revisited spotlight in the near future. So I would say major changes here would be Goddess of Abundance. I didn't have that on the original build. And then for Magician, as well as March. Everything else is probably going to look like most players' boards, which is this most of the White Mage masteries. I'm not a massive fan of the new Priest masteries. I do think that Apostle can be good, but I found that this is more solid as a whole. Also, I threw in Stone Throwing as opposed to the Blinding. Even though I do like the Blinding, in this build I actually think she can get pretty good Earth SB. So we are running Sincerity, and is pretty fast. Of course, she's triggering Acceleration, you know, whatever else that triggers off of that. So Sincerity is triggering all the time. That first turn where she's normally not doing anything, she's going to trigger Patience. Anytime she's running, she's going to be triggering Patience. It feeds in really well because obviously Patience, the mastery, is everywhere on a White Mage board, right? Willpower everywhere on a White Mage board. So you're really only adding Leap and Stride. And this is going to give you the actual Patience buff of increased block. This is not to include, obviously, Anne's natural Earth SP. I have found that when the fight really starts, if you combine both the amount of Earth SP that she gets to the main fight, along with Sincerity, she's around like 100 to 150 Earth SP, depending on how long it took your team to get to the main fight. You know, like let's say Ben on 54 Violent, or, you know, Mungo King on 58 Violent. It's about when she's at peak Earth SP. It works out that way. And so with the Patience from March, that's going to put her at like 50 block. And then if she's at 100 Earth SP with Goddess of Abundance, she's going to be at 100 block. And obviously, of course, you know, I've gone over the benefits of Rock Castle. And, you know, this is no different than from which, you know, Rock Castle will help White Mage survive. And honestly, you know, she can self-heal herself on White Mage. It's always really funny to see them try and kill Anne, and they can't. Verdure Magician will also, once her Earth SP is triggered, right, then her overcharge is going to be 5 turns of block. And so if your team finishes a map in, let's say, like 10 turns or so, from about turn 5 or where the main fight starts, she's going to be in permanent overcharge, keeping all of that block, keeping her alive. I just find that this works out really well. I wouldn't say, you know, maybe it's not the best build, but it works really good. Is kind of hard to pull off because of the defensive property limit cost. You can see, like, I've got Keyboard Warrior and Seeker, and obviously, like, it's total overkill on basic here, right? But not total overkill for defense, and defense is what really takes the most slots for White Mage. Yeah. Whew! Heixing. Oh, yeah. People love this. Sweeper. This is the Parabellum 2 board. This will feel almost game-breaking. It has room for customization. I think players will just love this as a whole. The main concept is very high Spirit SP. At 400 Spirit SP and using Sharp Spirit, you will have 80 block shred, to say nothing of combined with Extreme Will, multiplying the Spirit SP effect by 2 passively will give him also 80% hit chance. This essentially makes it so Heixing can't miss. If you add in Mind's Eye Shot, which has a bonus 50% hit chance, he has the highest hit chance in the game. He literally can't miss. This is done through a myriad of effects. Golden Mane, Peak. I prefer Peak. You don't have to use this gun. It just worked out for me. I got a nice 5-star out of it. SP plus 49, right? I also tend to like Waze shoes on him so that he can do running and reduce AT. Everything else is kind of whatever. Strategy is just kind of nice to reduce the cast delay. Defensively, Escape Death. I've told you guys Escape Death is pretty good. It's particularly noticeable on pets because many pets are designed with Awaken and Luck. So like let's say Mr. Dribbles comes out, he's my Gold Tongue. He hits Overcharge, he's got Killer Seal, and so he immediately gets 60% chance to activate Cheating Death, which will revive him at essentially full health, right? If you have Escape Death on. But the thing with Escape Death for Sweeper, look at the synergy in the board. Luck, Argonaut, which of course is feeding into SP, right? Overcharge everywhere in the board. You know, Awaken, everything needs a slice of luck. Cheating Death, all you're doing is tagging that on, and then Lightning Reflexes, which also feeds into everything needs a slice of luck. But what I think is interesting here is that within 3 turns, Heixing will always naturally trigger luck, right? And so if he triggers luck on the very first turn, that's 30%. Then you fire with it, and then you overcharge, and he's going to get 60%. So he's going to go straight to 90%. And honestly, with everything needs a slice of luck, your chance of triggering luck is so high, especially with Argonaut, right? It's just this combination of luck on top of luck on top of luck, where Escape Death can very easily, even without triggering Lightning Reflexes, trigger Escape Death. Pretty wild, pretty insane. I would say the rest is very damage dealing heavy. I do like Field Stripping Cleaning because it does reduce cast delay. I think the only thing most players would want to do is to even him out by using Vocation. And so Vocation is a new spirit set. It is very good. It does increase speed. It increases crit chance. It increases a lot of things that Heixing needs. And reduces cast delay, which is obviously Heixing's weakness on Sweeper. The reason why I don't do this is that Sweeper is intended to be my back row. And so the players that are running this Sweeper that have, you know, like let's say like 150 speed and cast delay of, you know, like let's say you pay like 10 or something for Annihilation Shot, whatever it happened to be, you find that it's more even kilter. You might find that he's up front in a spot that he shouldn't be in, and that's not the role that I have. He is literally Sweeper for me. When he comes in, anything that's still alive is going to die. When he comes in, anything that's a boss is going to die. And feeding into firearm interchangeability, which is what a lot of this is for me, guarantees that they die. In the off chance you want to go total overkill too, you can always pull, like let's say for the new map, Extreme Will for Beast Hunter. Just keep in mind that you will be losing some accuracy, but honestly he's pretty damn accurate. But they have incredible dodge rating, so it's also, you know, it is kind of a trade-off. But the board has incredible customization. The main point is that you keep the Spirit SP high. As long as you have that, Heixing is really dumb. But for me, he gets up with this amount just often enough to really handle the business that I need him to handle. And for what it's worth on this build, I can end the entire map in a single turn. So I don't really need his speed to be that high. It's like how I used to think about Albus until Black Mask and Sword of Sky came along. Anyway, this build is incredibly dumb. This will feel broken on a sense, and I really love it. Really proud of that one. Ray. Minor changes to Ray. I do still keep her fairly high with Spirit SP. Let's see, what have we really changed? I've added in Fight King. I'm not sure if that was part of the class spotlight, but obviously trained attack along with Fight King is going to shred even more. It's also going to add her flat damage. It's going to push her into damage that like you wouldn't normally expect from Ray. So, you know, muscle training, heavy strike, clean hit, you know, combined with trained attack, combined with block shred. It's just high damage, right? Very good. Still running Extreme Will. Good for the hit chance. Sharp Spirit, more block shred. You know, if you look at, what is it, Penetrate the Sky. Anyway, Ray has a ton of block shred now. Way more than you can see mathematically. You know, at first glance, this is, what, 50 block shred? But Fight King, 70 to 75. Penetrate the Sky, God, 10 tiles, 30, that's 105. So it's a lot, right? And so she plays as damage dealer for me. It is very heavy-handed. There is still some room for customization, not much. You could pull Professionalism. She doesn't need crit chance, but you'll find that at least with the new Mungos, so she's got 90, right? And that's not counting exposed or flanking, but or excitement triggered from Reckless Charge on Opportune Bomber. So she actually has 120, I'm sorry, normally, right? You'll find with the new Mungos that, let me touch on this really quick. The new Mungos, a lot of them have relentless steps, relentless footstep. And so if you're attacked by an enemy, the enemy's critical hit chance decreases by 0.5 per every 1 dodge chance. Well, guess what? Even on this kind of, you know, this is not counting a lot of stuff, right? But his flat dodge for Black Mask is 92. That means that he's automatically doing a 46% negative crit chance. On top of that, he has... I swear I've seen him with thick leather. Maybe that was just a challenge mode. Yeah, it might have just been challenge mode. Anyway, they can get thick leather where he has a negative 96% crit chance, right? That's really dumb. This isn't counting a lot of stuff that would normally trigger from all the other difficulties if you have those going. And so, you know, when you have a character that's or I've seen him with Keen Sense actually, which obviously also is really insane. Not Keen Reflexes. And so sometimes now even characters that have 100 crit chance, it's still not enough. And you know, he's not the only one. Mungo King is also running Relentless Footstep. Not that he has a ton of dodge, but you know, if you get enough difficulties or the right masteries from Challenge or Paranoid, it does get out of hand, right? And so you'll see it, I think, on like the Thrower, oh, not the Thrower, the Thief Mungos, or maybe again Challenge and Paranoid. I don't know. Anyway, you're starting to see even crit chance beyond 100, and for my primary damage dealers, which is Heixing and Ray, I just don't want to have to deal with it. So with this, essentially, professionalism lets her take out big targets that she also needs to, in a way, graffiti. Think like Skull Mask. Think like Ben, right? Pulling that rage, pulling those frenzies, pulling, you know, whatever it happens to be. She just has a better chance of doing that. Okay, Giselle's Hunter. I would say there's, well, actually, I don't honestly remember what the class spotlight was, but it probably, I don't think it had the sniper rifles, or the monster set. Maybe it did. I have no idea. Anyway, 3 set. My Hunter is actually pretty well rounded. This is the balance board. I really like it. Keep in mind, Giselle is a support unit, and she's also the heart of the party. She's right there with Anne almost at all times, kind of the very center being protected by everybody. She does, for me, she is an opener. I've mentioned this before, but chain tactics is incredibly good. You can force units to trigger chain tactics. I do this on my opening for my party to put everyone's AT at the exact same, which is instantaneous. So if you hit like 3 targets with, fire trap or something, it's just going to reduce everyone's AT by 30. This also still works later on in the middle of a fight. She's a trapper. She can also kill weak to medium targets. I think it's probably the difference between my Giselle and most other Giselles. She's running I Know It All already. Obviously, Giselle fires all sorts of stuff based off of trapping. Where is fire support? Where are you, fire support? There we go. Skilled Hunt and Link Trap. Link Trap is what I think is considered a fire support, which obviously is responsive. I Know It All already is heavily built into responsive. I think the part that most players are not used to is that she can actually kill with it, and that's why a lot of players don't like fire support on it, and that's from offensive choice. Giselle has the highest range in the game, and so close yet so far really does feed into her damage. I personally love having her on this build. It is really just solid, and so she can actually kill light to medium characters all the time. I would never stick her on, like, let's say like a white clown or something, but a lot of the heavy hitter or like a lot of the tougher characters in this game, even from the stronger chain killers, will occasionally live by like 300 health or something, and this is exactly where Giselle comes in. You guys have ever seen my stream? It's always in the background of her just popping someone and then getting her AT back for it. So it really synergizes very well. She's very fast. I try to keep her the second fastest now. She used to be the fastest because she was the only opener. Now with Misty, she's generally the second fastest when I try. I would say what most players probably would not have. Chasing Herd is very good for her. This lets her stay at the center of the party. Let's say she happens to get behind with fire support. Maybe she didn't kill the target or something for whatever reason. Chasing her Herd will boost her back up and push her there. Best condition, obviously, still pretty good. As a whole, very good. And then defensively, just running Second Heart and then Lightning Reflexes from Shikuchi. But very good as a whole. I don't think too many things have changed for her. Keep in mind that Seasoned Hunter is going to give you 0 AP support and item. This includes potions, so she can be a potion giver. She can be AT refunder with trapping. She can trap bosses with freeze. She can kill groups with fire. The units that live with fire get, again, range supported by I Know It All already and fire support and all that stuff. And so lots of synergy going on here. Very complex character, to say nothing of what pet you decide to use with her. I would like to do a Mungo pet spotlight in the near future, but these things do take a while to build out. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into this. All of these abilities can be reloaded. I like moving her into the right position, having essentially, trap out, which is free from the 3 set, right? Another trap out down to 1 AP. Then, you can flare. And then you can, from there, you could reload and get all of that back, or just drop a fire trap and on the next turn reload and get all of that back. Reload also works on Tame Beast. This is just a solid build. Even now, I actually, because she can deal damage, I actually switch between Skilled Hunt and Swift Chase. It just feels like the right amount of synergy for Giselle. But I would say overall, this isn't too different from the class spotlight. Kylie Engineer, this will be a big one, similar to Irene. I know people love Irene's martial arts. I think people will love this Engineer build as well. So this is Zodiac 2. Major changes. Executioner. I've gone over this with Misty. Characters that have an issue with returning their AT get a lot of use out of Executioner. Engineer is one of them, combined with Vocation. You can actually get both on the board. You can see that I'm really tapped out here. Engineer has always costed a lot of training points. I've got strict refusal. I've got honesty, right? It's pretty wild. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this, but not too much. So, vocation, great for speed, crit chance, and cast delay reduction. Very important because Engineer does not have that. This is going to take her normal cast delay of attack protocol at 20, push it down to 15, and then of course Executioner, when killing a target, decreases action time by 15. So you can see the synergy here is essentially you will not gain any cast delay or AT from using attack protocol now. That's really big. Really big. Or if you just do a regular hit and kill, you will essentially get 15 AT and put her down into 36, which is pretty good. 43 is not bad, and between, if your normal move is like to move an attack protocol, right? That's going to put her, at just 43. Or if you normal move attack VV, that'll put it at 36. Or if you use consecutive, keep in mind consecutive is triggered by nimble responsive attack. You, summon robot, and stolen robot all get AT decreased by 20. So should you need to use attack protocol with consecutive, let's say something has really high block, believe it or not, you will pay 15 and then 30 for the attack protocols. You will gain 40 or 20 from consecutive attack and then 15 from executioner if you kill it, for a total of 35. So you will actually go closer to AT if you have to use consecutive attack. Also important to note, if you can do your math well, you can do consecutive with attack VV. Most forgotten thing for consecutive is that it's there. Make sure to use it. It's only on a 3-turn cooldown, and it does trigger nimble responsive. It's what will keep Kylie at 36 AT. Now, what will get her under 36 AT? Chasing a herd. Again, if she gets too far behind, kind of like with Giselle, again, for me, they're both support characters. This puts them exactly at the right spot to be moving at all times. Also, I thought this was kind of interesting. Kylie actually doesn't have terrible block. 63 on engineers is not bad. It's not front line, and it's it's about mid-row kind of damage, and that's where I also like Giselle to be. So she can take a hit, even though she shouldn't be, because you should have both drones deployed with her. And so this leads me into the 3-set bonus. Well, the 2-set bonus, so what you should be doing on the first turn, move to whatever position, summon both machines. And that's because the machines and drones can't get in rush, so they need that turn to kind of speed up with the rest of the team, right? This is interesting because drones can be affected by chain tactics from Giselle. So you can actually set, them up on that first turn and then trigger the drones, and the drones will also get up at the same speed as your entire party. That's the synergy for my whole team. On top of that, the 3-set, this is very underused. Every time a summoned robot, stolen robot takes a turn, action is decreased by 5, right? This is for Kylie. So between chasing a herd and her 3-set, keep in mind, nimble responsive. If you have, let's say, Overwatch, auto Overwatch on your drones, that takes no AT. So like on Gemini, for example, I'll go ahead and show him. And keep in mind, this is not the drone guide, and this is not finalization, but this is a pretty damn good board. Keep in mind that if you do auto Overwatch, it costs no AT, right? So let's say Gemini takes a turn, he's at 40 AT, he's down to 12 if auto Overwatch comes off, right? And he does auto Overwatch, that is going to feed into, for Gemini, nimble responsive, and then Gemini getting another turn is going to feed into 3-set Master Machine Craftsman's. So she's far faster, and I've only been recently going into this. Also with Vocation, she's getting much needed crit chance. You can see Professionalism pushing her up to 77. Obviously with Vocation, she's also getting some block shred here. you know, her speed and move are just right. It just feels very good. You guys know I'm all about synergy, and so she sticks with the party now. She isn't chain killing, but she's also not falling behind. And if you combine the damage of her drones with her damage, it gets so insane. So very insane. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing the Drone Guide Volume 2, because I do think, this is part of the reason why I'm holding off, is that I do think there will be a resurgence of Engineer when we get Dr. Pascal. I do think that Dr. Pascal is going to be considered an engineer because he is the one that designed or really pushed for the Bicrons. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my top 2. So obviously Gemini is very good. And then Capricorn. Capricorn is my web tank. He's a good off tank in the off chance that, you know, maybe all your other tanks are busy, or you just need something in front of your back row. You know, this is where it's at, and this is that support side of engineer that, you know, people don't always get to see. Capricorn will web targets, which will then lower their block and dodge, which means Gemini will feed off of that. They both have auto, I don't have it on here. Oh, he's got what's it called? The responsive fire control program. So he's constantly doing responsives, right? And any responsive, even not auto Overwatch, is going to get nimble responsive from Kylie. So anyway, those are the 2. You guys got to see my primary 2. I am still working on it, but I do think engineer will get a lot of new even masteries for engineer specifically. Also really quick, you might notice she doesn't have great vigor. That's actually taken care of by thermodynamics. I know like engineer is just completely forgotten. I do say that this is the hardest class to get working correctly. This will at least put you guys on like a wow, engineer is not bad kind of level. You know, keep in mind she has bookworm, so she removes all debuffs. It's pretty cool. Keep in mind she's got pretty decent block, like I said before, and her damage really is not bad. Any crits will turn into armor break. So you know, you can attack 12 times if they've got really high block, and you will kill them. You know, like even against white clowns, she can attack protocol, and she might be able to kill it just based off of that. But if she can't, or you think she can't, consecutive, you'll speed her up even faster. It's pretty insane, and she has incredible cooldown recovery, thanks to applicable knowledge and, you know, all the, you know, catharsis and, you know, I don't know. It just works. I would definitely give this a try if you've ever been considering about engineer. Also, I would say the only thing here that stands out, you should always have support, attack, and move protocol on hacker and engineer. These are just the best protocols as a whole. If you find her tanking more, reactive matrix, I would not use search protocol for her unless you're trying to deal with crabs, and even then that should be done by hacker. Hacking is obviously really dumb. That needs to be done on hacker. I've found the most used out of confusion protocol. Yes, it's not being affected by vocation, but 20 cast delay is not that bad when you're triggering 3 set machinists with chasing a herd with everything else that's triggering, right? Keep in mind, any pincer and cover attacks with your bonding will also feed off of nimble responsive. So I don't find to have her having a speed issue. I think of all the things I'd like to expand on is that from standing alone, when we get level 59 and another training point, we'll be going into Roar of Victory, which then puts her at 100 SP, which gives her the block shred from vocation, right? And opens the option of reinforced attack protocol. But it does have a really high cast delay even with vocation. I don't know. We'll see about the gearing then. But you guys can see this is a pretty insane build. Leton. Ooh. Not many changes from Hailstorm. I would say the biggest change actually is Ballet. It's combining Keen Sense with stretching, and then Ballet triggers Peace along with added block from both stretching and the bonus effect. You'll also get a peace effect on 3 consecutive delicate dance, and I'm not going to go into all of that. Also, I put in standing alone, but at roughly 67, 68, along with peace, he's roughly like 80 block, 80 dodge. And so, yeah, Leton is the only character that's a melee, that's not hybrid tank, but in a way he kind of is. Keep in mind, of course, warming up, preheating, probably the strongest buff in the game. Immunity to AT delay, cast delay shred by 50%. You're going to be adding another block, 10 block and 10 dodge, right? So now you're approaching 90 block, 90 shred. This is pretty nuts. I have no problem throwing my Leton, my melee version of Leton, out in the middle of the fight, really. And it almost feels like a hybrid tank. I just don't go out of my way to force him to tank like I would with Albus and Irene. Albus and Irene, if you notice, in the hybrid tank role, both have counterattack. And so both are able to kind of, both tank the hit and give it back at the same time. I kind of like that part of a hybrid tank too. But obviously, this board is very good. If you guys have ever seen any of my feats, the most recent one, Freezing Blood, where I literally kill, I don't know, it's like 70 of the monkeys before Freezing Blood takes over. Why is it not on there? I guess it just shows up here, where you go through all the freezing fluid. It's pretty insane. I do highly recommend this board. It's an exceptionally good chain killer. Again, Black Mask has really changed the game, and with Irene and Leton, you can combine Black Mask with Golden Letter. This is important, right? Because Albus, Irene, and Leton, Wind, Fire, Ice, do not have access to Sharp Spirit. So this flat kind of block shred now that they've been missing, where we've kind of had to use either 3-set Golden or Breakthrough, is gone. And so now I'm combining both of them into all 3 of them, and it makes him totally crazy. So he has 158, 173 with food. That's not counting preheating. That's what, 193 from preheating. That's not counting if you somehow trigger acceleration on him. And so he's approaching Misty level speed at 200. Let's just say he's roughly 130 over most targets, which means he's going to have a 40% block shred. With Golden, that's a 55% block shred. That means small and medium targets, he will have 100% block shred on, or he won't have to deal with blocking. It's only on the heavy targets, such as White Clowns, that he'll have to, deal with Breakthrough. Interesting part about this board, if you really want to, again, same as Sweeper, you could pull Breakthrough and slot in Beast Hunter. It actually has exactly 1 property limit open and exactly 1 training point limit open. So it's very, very good. Even if you're not good as Superstar, this is very good. Completely nasty. And he can, of course, do jumping attacks to avoid having to deal with the Sen no Sen monkeys and stuff like that. Keep in mind, even though you might see Castellet here, this is not taking into account preheating. So Castellet between skilled body control, 25%, professional mind, 25%, that's 50, plus preheating, that's the other 50. He has no Castellet whatsoever. Leton at minimum and maximum only sits at 36 AT. There's no there's no ifs, ands, or buts, especially from what's giving it? Show on Tour, which is decreasing AT by 10s. Just for me, he's always at 36 or less, right? Best condition or whatever you want to throw on him. Muscle training on there for a little bit more oomph. And then actually standing alone is really not bad on him. Obviously, there's quite a bit of Dancer and Superstar masteries here, so a little bit of bonus damage that he would give, and a little bit, reduced damage taken. Solid board across. I really love it. Love the changes to Frost Mill. That's why you'll see powerful Discipline Potion on him. 100% ESP power combined with All-Rounder. Similar to Misty, it's this hybrid damage that you won't normally see, and he'll be able to kill with this for everything but, bosses, essentially. Pretty insane board. Absolutely love it. Bianca. Not too many changes for Witch. We did get the slot increase, and so she is running best condition now. She is running Chasing Herd, so Bianca will never fall too far behind. She's got Roar, 2 hits, essentially, sometimes even 1 hit is, she also has Bloodwind, right? So even 1 hit is 45 right there, plus actually attacking from wind, that's 50. So if you run Witch like I do, where, you know, you Illusion, and then you Wind Veil, and then you Wind Walk, if you combine the Vigor cost of that, is that 10, 20, 16, what is that, 30, 46, right? Plus 1 hit, that's 96 SP right there. And so it's very easy in this build for Bianca to be an overcharge, and her overcharge opens a lot of possibilities for her as a whole. You know, being able to kill bosses she wouldn't normally with Twister Arrow, being able to move even further with Wind Explosion. I do consider her just a very good assassin type class with this build. Quite a bit of damage modifiers into ESP power. 208, not Black Mage, obviously. Black Mage probably sits around 350 to 450, probably 400 being the average, I would say. But still good enough to kill. And you guys know that I kind of shotgun kill with her, thanks to Black Witch. Again, the major bonus is that Witch can do more illusions on a shorter cooldown. This translates to just being up more often as a whole. She is usually one of my top damage dealers. I do still find quite a bit of effect in the second wind for her. She will, if they're doing max range, they're not going to kill her. It doesn't matter what the target is. Even enhanced camo can't kill her from max range. That's of course mostly because of headwind, but also because of second wind as a whole. She does have pretty good defenses, even for BB, for what it's worth. I do have her pretty slow. She is my traditional assassin. I don't need her to be very fast. She's not feeding a black mask or anything like that. Alisa. So this is nice. This is kind of redemption for me. When I released the Barbarian video, like 3 days later, they released the Berserker set, and I was so mad. I was so mad. So this is Gungnir 2. Major changes would be Vocation. Alisa makes a lot of good viability out of Vocation. She needs... Barbarian needs crit chance. I mean, desperately needs crit chance. Barbarian desperately needs speed. Barbarian desperately needs cast delay reduction. Barbarian needs block shred. Vocation, this is probably the strongest, highest case use of Vocation. I won't say this is good for every character. Like on Hacker, does she need more speed? Not really. Does she need cast delay? No, not at all. You know, could she use the crit chance? Yeah. But, you know, as a whole, Vocation just works really well for her. It's shoring up her major weaknesses. You know, crit chance for me, without professionalism, is like, what was that, 29, 30? Something like that, something horrible. And so this gets her closer to, excuse me, closer to keen, you know, exposed state range, where if they're out in the open or she's flanking them, it's 100% crit chance. Also, so I like to give credit where credit is due, and that's not to say that we were the first players to do this, but we were the first players to kind of put things out there. So Mayim was the first player, I think, to put out a very good Liberated build, and then I think I was the first player to release a Anger Strike build that everyone really liked. What I've done is, before it was usually one or the other, I've actually combined them into one. And also, not to mention, Rex has a very good updated Liberated build. Mine is now a combination of both. I actually really like both. And one of the major changes with Liberated is that instead of having to run Physical Resist 3, which gives you 50% damage reduction, we're now using Overflowing Spirit. Before we were actually combining both of them, which is really insane. The reason why this is nice now is that it opens up a lot of slots, right? And so this basically takes the slot of physical resist 3 with less slots. However, it combines liberated where you go into trance. And so trance, putting a target out of action, increases your overcharge duration. Before, if you tried this, you would lose overcharge on some turns, and so she'd lose a lot of damage reduction. With liberated, if she's getting kills, it is very good, and so she can go into, you know, stacks like Ray has it, where she's permanently in overcharge, right? And so that's also feeding into overflowing rage, giving her additional block shred. Vocation also feeding into it, right? So you're getting a lot of this block shred. I will say this is kind of like the defensive version. This is my tank version, right? So she's at 4,200, 4,700 health with Giant Potion. But the main thing that you'll see here is Jackie's Perfect Scale. What this is going to do is essentially prevent Alisa from just getting one shot. Let's say you're at like 2,000, you're close to 1/3, and then a major boss comes and crits you. That's when things get kind of dodgy, right? Where with this, you won't die. In fact, with Jackie Perfect Scale, you may have a hard time getting to 1/3, believe it or not. Around 2,000 is when targets start doing like 5 and 6 damage to her, even crits. And it's just so incredibly dumb. But if you want the more offensive version, of course, Skull Mask is very good. This is going to give you a guaranteed critical when you're lower health than 33%. Personally, on a team note, I would not do that. I would keep her as my tank, and this literally makes her unkillable. I've never had Alisa die with this on, and I was paying attention to rage. Never. Not even once. It's pretty dumb. You'll see now that her speed, respectable. 95 isn't like game breaking. She's still my slowest unit, but at BB at 101, right, she's not too bad. And so if you need to, of course, you can still boost her with Kylie or, you know, increase speed however you want. I personally like to also give her a Patience Potion. And if she gets a Patience Potion, she's not leaving. She's not going to get to the 1/3 range. Some players want her at the 1/3 range. I just find that she's unkillable while still doing damage in this current build. I think you guys will definitely like this a lot. It's just solid. And one of the combinations of this is Anger Strike with Liberated with 1-shot 1-kill. That's what kind of combines them together. Before my build with Anger Strike, she didn't have 1-shot, so yeah, on her turn she could kill 1, but then it'd be over. And then, you know, with Liberated before, you wouldn't have that Anger Strike. If you guys have watched my solo of 58 on basically the hardest difficulty, it's only because of the combination of the two that this is possible. So you guys are seeing like kind of the most updated version. Obviously the odd man out here is blunt resistance. This will change obviously with more training points. You know, you could put on, I don't know, Keen Sense, or, you know, Keen Sense with Skull Mask or something like that as we get more points. But as a whole, this is an exceptionally powerful build. You guys will definitely like it, and I feel redeemed on Barbarian now because I haven't redone the video, but she can be so powerful. I would consider Alisa's Barbarian to be S tier as far as like class power. She was the first one of my videos to be 58 violent. I think I'm 54, 50, or at least 54. My first video on max difficulty was Hunter. That's no surprise because pets can do unbelievable things, but I think players misunderstand how powerful traps are, right? Anyway, pretty fleshed out. This is kind of mandatory, the Black Iron Flash Boots. It's got a flat 10 speed, and with the Twilight, you can get 20 out of it. But there are other options. The Mungo High Boots, not bad, right? You're going to get that cast delay reduction, which, again, normally Flex Shaving and Wood Chop is 40 cast delay. In a team setting, that is awful. So Vocation doing some work here, down to 28, very nice. Also keep in mind, White Lion, while in Excitement, decrease AT by 10. You'll find Excitement all up and down once you get going with Lunacy. put an enemy out of action, trigger excitement, which feeds into Spirit of Warrior, which feeds into a ton of other things. And then, of course, for cooldown reduction, we're going to be using Joy of Lunacy. Every time you're affected by Rage, you know, ability cooldown decreases by 1. This feeds into Frenzy from Berserker, and etc., etc. So, anyway, amazing, and I do think you guys will love that, along with Engineer build, along with Irene build. Like, those three really stand out to me. Woo! Finally! Misty. Honestly, we just did this class spotlight, and it is pretty good. You can see the property limits are really maxed out here. Executioner, again, for characters that don't have options like Bloodwind or, you know, I don't know, take your pick. Just works really well. I don't think that this is the only build for Ninja. I do believe that there's a good tanking build. I do believe there's a good healer build / caster build, like a hybrid water ninja healer. Those three are all excellent paths. I just happen to like this one because it fits my playstyle. She's always invisible as Ninja, always hidden, always 100% block shred, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Perfect assassin. I did switch out Impulse Fields for Second Heart, because with Impulse Fields you could technically be hit by some, you know, 2 hits, and or you could just be hit by 5 hits over the course of your turn, and you'd be dead. Second Heart, I think at the end of the day, is stronger, because then at least if she does die, she just revives, and then it's your turn immediately. I think that's probably the stronger portion of it. She can go heal herself, right, with 6-path Samsara, etc., etc. Yeah, I don't think we have to go over this too much. She's pretty damn good. Anyway, that's it. Obviously, that's a lot. This video has been requested inadvertently, probably hundreds of times. This is a short way of me being able to go over every class. Obviously, I don't touch it like I touch the class spotlights. If you are new or newer to Endgame, some of this will not make any sense. And keep in mind, none of this means diddly without knowledge of the game. It just doesn't. And the more you understand about the game, the more that my builds will make a lot more sense. But this is my team. Lots of synergy. You can see it built all throughout, and I kind of went over it, but yeah, pretty damn good. I'm glad to finally get this video out. I think a lot of players will click on this. I think a lot of players will take this and probably make it their own. Maybe for the next video for this, I will do the opposite classes. Magic Knight, Albus, Black Mage, and Sion. Battle Mage for Irene. Maybe they'll swap, you know, tanking roles or something. Witch for Anne, Ranger, etc. You know, I actually think that when I swap, these classes will all be in a better position for the swap too. Ray, Alchemist is just not very good compared to Grenadier. It's just not. Sniper has some interesting stuff coming. I think you guys will be very interested to see that. Hacker's already dumb. I wish they would nerf the living hell out of her. Leton Martial Arts is actually, if you guys don't like Superstar, is a good sub for main tank if you want to do Sion on Black Mage. Preheating is just so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so powerful. It's so ridiculous. Black Mage Bianca is just nasty. That's like heavy chain killing. That starts to look like Sweeper when you're on Black Mage Bianca. White Knight. I'm revisiting White Knight very soon. I'm excited about that. There's a lot going for that. That's going to be fun. And then Rogue is not as bad as people think. But hopefully we get some new stuff in the future to kind of manipulate it. Anyway, that's it for the video, guys. This obviously took a lot of time, and you guys are seeing kind of my inner workings, if you're paying attention, of how I play and what's really good. And I know a lot of players will either just use my builds outright now and or manipulate the build in a little former way, but you guys are seeing kind of a very deeper version of my characters, and I'm glad to bring it to you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and until next time.